Sorry about that. It takes a moment to unmute.
No, I know.
Thank you very much for inviting us this evening. I appreciate this opportunity a great deal and have enjoyed it every year that you've invited us. And I want you to know that I take your requests very, very seriously when they come to me. And last year, I took the list of requests, which is very similar to this particular list. Almost all of the items are the same, except for the bus route and the repeal of that House Bill 6688, which I want you to know I did vote against. I just looked up the roll call to make sure I was on the right side of that bill, but I did in fact vote no. And on all of the other proposals, I did put bills in for those items. And I have asked my assistant to forward over to you guys a list of those bills with the bill numbers so you can see what the status of each one was. When it comes to the conveyances, I actually serve as the ranking member on the Government Administration and Elections Committee, so I have a lot to say about conveyances. And I'm very disappointed that we were not able to get the parcel of land that was requested last time around, which I know is on your list. I did manage to get it through the Senate on the final day of the session, June 9th, but unfortunately there was not time for it to happen in the House. And that's just a frustration of there being many, many thousands of bills, and some are more priority to some people than others. And that was one of my priorities, but not necessarily the leadership of the House chamber. I just want to go over the other items. Senate Bill 366 was the bill I put in, which mirrors your request for changing the time frame for binding arbitration. And Senate Bill 367 is the bill I put in last time around regarding the prevailing wage threshold to $1 million, same as you've requested now. I serve also as the ranking Republican member, the leader of the minority on the Labor Committee in Hartford in the state Senate. And every legislative session starts with us actually behind closed doors meeting with the leadership of the majority to discuss all of the bill proposals and discuss what we're actually going to do. And I'm sad to report that despite my best efforts in proposing those bills, I could not convince the two Democratic co-chairs of the House and Senate, Senator Julie Kushner and Representative Robin Porter, to take up either one of those bills, despite my sincere efforts, and in fact, dropping the names of Representative Linehan and Senator Abrams, I thought might coax them into cooperation, but it didn't work, sadly. As far as the juvenile crime issue, there were dozens of bills proposed in the last session, primarily by Republicans, but by both parties. And I did also submit Senate Bill 517 and Senate Bill 532 and Senate Bill 537, all designed to reverse many of the policies that have led to the uptick in crime that we've been discussing for years. I'm happy to talk to you guys further about why I think that crime wave is occurring and what we need to do to fix it. But I don't want to monopolize the meeting. I just want to let you know that I did take you guys very seriously with your list of requests last year. I can show you the bills that were proposed and what happened with each one. And I will go back to the drawing board again this session and reach across the aisle to try and convince my colleagues in the majority to take up these bills, because they are sincerely in need in many communities around the state and certainly in Cheshire. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you especially for indulging me a second time. My mentor and predecessor, former Senator Joe Markley, taught me the most valuable lesson in politics, which is nobody ever said, "I wish that politician spoke longer." So I will try and convey as much information I can as briefly as I possibly can. I raised my hand a second time after listening to the chief, because I just feel like you guys are owed some straight talk. I know there's a tremendous desire for working together and bipartisanship, and I believe very strongly in that as well. And I work as hard as I can with my colleagues here on the dais, but also with my colleagues in Hartford in both parties. But there are facts, and facts are how people vote, what bills they put in. And I think that is important information that should never be overlooked. And I would encourage each one of you guys to review the record when it comes to these items. On the subject of juvenile justice, I was first elected to the House in 2010 and started my service in 2011. Shortly thereafter, there was a bill to repeal the death penalty, which passed largely on a party line vote supported by Democrats and Republicans, but certainly a more or less party line vote. Following that, there was the creation of Governor Malloy's risk reduction credit program, which let violent felons out of prison early. And this passed entirely on a party line vote with all Democrats in favor and all Republicans in opposition. And I've spent the last almost 10 years trying to repeal various parts of it, including a bill that I put in last year and will put in again to repeal at least the parts that we shouldn't be giving good time behavior to people that commit rape or violence with a gun. And yet those are non-starters apparently in the legislature. After that, there were several other bills to raise the age at which we treat juvenile crime, which I think is the major contributor to the juvenile crime rise that we are facing today. Then there was the executive branch's determination to start closing juvenile detention centers. And then, of course, a bill called excessive use of force, and then a bill that would eliminate police chases, then a bill to prevent consent searches, then the police accountability bill undermining police officers altogether. Every one of these items, as they came to the legislature, were initiatives taken by the majority party, and they were opposed vehemently by me and Leslie and other Republicans in the legislature, and they were passed over our objections on party line votes. And that's just a fact. And if you want to understand why the crime wave is hitting our state, that is the reason, more than any other single thing. And I would suggest that we need to go to the drawing board and start repealing some of those items. I am in agreement with Representative Linehan that, we have to address the ability to treat juvenile criminals as human beings and not just lock them up. And any inference that that's what me or any other of the Republicans are about is false. And I'm more than happy to come up with solutions to rehabilitate some folks. But those are the problems that led to the crime wave we have, and we have to address it. The other items that are on your list and are on this list every year, prevailing wage, binding arbitration, all of these items, these are labor issues. And they are also things that Republicans repeatedly bring up year after year. I propose these bills year after year. And I would encourage my colleagues on the Democrat side that represent Cheshire to join me this time in co-sponsoring those bills so that when I go to the chair of the Labor Committee and say, hey, even my Cheshire Democrats are with me on this, we actually have a chance. But sadly, the majority party in Hartford is very much beholden to organized labor in this state. And I think those are non-starters. And I don't know that my colleagues would even be willing to co-sponsor them. And finally, on the subject of the highway use tax, that is a bill that passed despite the objections of Republicans. You can look it up on the Connecticut General Assembly website. It was a party line vote. It wasn't just, all these people, it was party line. Republicans voted no, Democrats voted yes. There is very little chance of repeal of that or any of the other crime related matters until there is significant pressure from the public saying that these things need to be changed, or there is a change in the makeup of the General Assembly. And that's just the straight talk I have for you guys. All I will say is that I'm bringing it up because I believe the people that are watching, as well as you fine folks on the council here, deserve to know the truth about why we are in the situation that we are. And the more truth that people know, the more they will be informed when they make their decisions at the ballot box this November and going forward. And I really appreciate that. I'm not intending to be divisive in any way, shape, or form. I simply just want the record known on where we stand on these issues, because it's frustrating for me to come back to this panel year after year and say, I tried, because I did legitimately try. I put in every bill that you guys asked for, and I fought for all of them.